everybody, and welcome back to yet another review and to another episode of the Final 50, the series here on the channel, where I review every car in my collection that I have never reviewed before. This series started when I realized that I had 50 cars left in my collection that I had never reviewed. For years, Robin Tailspider had kept a list for me of every car I'd never reviewed, and when it got down to 50, I decided, you know what, it's time to review all of these cars in their own series. And now, with this being episode 9, that means we only have 41 cars left. We have slowly but surely been making our way through all of these cars in my collection, and by the time this is done, my channel will not just be a place where I review cars, but also an archive documenting every single car in my collection and what I think about them. Today we're going to be taking a look at Paul Valdez's Cab. This was released in 2017. The original Paul Valdez, his full hauler, was released in 2010. In the movie, as I discussed in a recent Errors and Inconsistencies episode, Paul only appeared with his full hauler. He appeared at a gas station watching the LA race alongside Gil, another hauler that was released the same year. And then in 2017, they thought it would be a good idea to, in the Radiator Springs Classic series, re-release Gil and Paul and all of the truck stop trailers and Jerry recycled batteries, of course, and not include their haulers, to just make it cab releases, which again is really interesting because these guys were never shown without their haulers, without their trailers in the movie, and it definitely leaves for an interesting sight. It's just kind of unnatural and kind of cursed to see cars like Jerry recycled battery just as the cab with no back part, but I saw all of them in a store back in 2017. They're such an odd release, and I've grown to really love them, but for whatever reason, I didn't buy all of them back in 2017. I only bought Paul and Gil, and to this day I regret it because I don't have any of those other characters in any form. I don't have the full haulers, I don't have just the cabs. I wish I had gotten all of them back then, but I did not. Paul Valdez is pretty interesting. He, of course, is based on a Peterbilt. I believe he's just the same mold as Jerry recycled batteries, except he has this motor oil can permanently attached to himself, which is so odd. Yeah, in the movie he appears at a gas station or a truck stop drinking oil, but it's just kind of annoying. I think it would be even worse if you had the hauler. Of course, I just have the cab, but you know, if you're doing like a scene in a series or wherever where he's driving around like delivering something, dude's got a giant can of motor oil sticking out of his mouth at all times. It's something unique and different, and it sets Paul here apart, and I think it's pretty cool, and it's not that noticeable, honestly, and like I said, it makes him pretty unique, but still, it is a pretty odd choice. It was an odd choice to permanently attach that to his mouth. I don't think it's an issue, but like I said, it just could be kind of weird for different scenarios you want to play out. You can't just, you know, you can't just pretend it's not there if you're doing a video. People are going to see the fact that there's a motor oil can sticking out of his mouth. You have PV on the roof there for Paul Valdez, of course. Unlike most of the other haulers from the first movie that aren't pissing up haulers, this isn't a Pixar reference. It seems to just be, you know, his initials, or maybe it is some sort of other reference. I'm not sure, but, you know, his name is Paul Valdez. I assume they named him after the PV logo on his hat. I assume the hat logo came first when they were designing the character, and then when they had to make the diecast, they named him Paul Valdez, but we will never know. I love his color scheme, this light orange color with white stripes all throughout. I think it's a really good looking hauler. His license plate is ML115. That's one of the, like, infamously reused license plates, and it's really a shame, and it's really annoying that they did that. Being a cab post-2015, he, of course, cannot be connected to any haulers, which is unfortunate. But, you know, not a big deal. You could just sort of casually rest the hauler on there, and it'll look fine. It's just not going to be plugged in. There's a look at the other side, and there is a look at his base. A really cool cab. This is one where I'm fine that I don't have his hauler. His hauler was just, like, basically a gray box, you know. Unlike Jerry recycled batteries where it matches the front, Paul, you know, had a very generic back trailer. And yeah, I really like this cab, and I think that out of all the cabs they made for all of these cars, he's probably the best to just leave as a cab without a trailer. Like I said, Jerry recycled batteries looks weird. A lot of them look kind of odd without a trailer attached, but I think Paul looks good, especially because he has that motor oil sticking out of him. You could tell this guy's just like on a break, you know? He doesn't need the trailer attached. He's just currently hanging out at a rest stop, even though in the movie when he's at a rest stop, he has the trailer attached. I think this, more so than like any of the other truck stop trailers they did, can really stand on his own without that back half. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for another episode of the Final 50. Bye now.